It's May 22nd. It's raining. It's 53 again. How about some 70s?
How about it?
Some sunshine?
I'll take it.
I mean, they keep talking about April showers bring May flowers. Well, it's been raining since April started. Hasn't stopped. All right. Back with it. I'm not going to get into that part. I want to get into the immaturity of sports right now. And there's a lot of immaturity to talk about, especially yesterday. And in the last couple of days, and over the last few weeks, in immaturity. So let's start with the world famous tush push. All right, number one, and I'll get to the immaturity part in a moment. The reason that the Eagles are extremely successful with the quarterback sneak, because Tom Brady was always the best at the conventional quarterback sneak. I mean, Brady's numbers were phenomenal when the Patriots ran. And Bill O'Brien told me it was always the first play they put in training camp back in those days. And they were ultra successful with it. And nobody tried to ban it because it's just a standard quarterback sneak play. We all know that starting with Reggie Bush going into the back of Matt Leinart and pushing him into the end zone at Notre Dame, that's where the push idea came up and became legalized in all levels of football. Yesterday, it was put on the table about banning the play again. And the problem is quite simple. You have to be better defensively on first and second down. So it's not third down in a yard. You have to be better on first, second, and third down, so it's not fourth down in a yard, yard and a half. If it's fourth down and 4, they are not running that play. If it is third down and 4, you are not running that play. The Eagles are in that situation a lot where they've been able to take care of, quote, the old quote that we talk about all the time, keeping yourself on schedule. Well, the Eagles are a great offensive football team, and they keep themselves on schedule. And then they get themselves into a third, yard and a half. Oh, here it comes. Well, that's because you put yourself in that spot. If you'd played better defense on the first 2 downs, or if it's a 4-down situation, the first 3 downs, you're not in that spot. If you want to remedy stopping the play, stop them on the first 2 downs. That's how you remedy it. Play better defense on the other downs. Sounds simple, but then again, it is actually that simple a game. Okay? Now, as for how Jeffrey Lurie acted in the meeting, this is where the maturity part comes in. Why do you need to go into a meeting and yell and scream and yell and scream and yell and scream? What are you yelling and screaming about? Screaming at Goodell and screaming at... I guess Jed York?
Yeah, he was one of them. Yelled back, told him enough.
Right. Basically told him to sit down and shut up.
Yeah.
Right? And you've got Eagles fans jumping up and down. Look, we did it. We won. 70% of the owners voted against you. Okay?
Yeah.
You needed to have 75%. You needed 24 out of 32. They got 22 to vote against it. So by the hair of the chinny chin chin. Again, I have no respect for an owner going in and yelling and screaming at everybody else. For goodness sakes, you're supposed to be a titan of industry, a leader of a whole team. You can go in and talk to people. Mm-hmm. You can do it forcefully.
Sure. If you have to.
If you have to be forceful about it.
Right.
Fine. But you don't have to go in and he was yelling the whole time, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Okay? You don't have to go in there and be meek about it. You can be forceful about it. But you can't be a wild man about it. And from every report, he was not there were times he wasn't lucid. Now they brought in Jason Kelsey to talk about the rumors that he had been hurt running the play, and he said, no, that's not true. That's fair.
Sure.
That's fair. But come on. Let's not be immature about it. It's a play. It's a play that you run better than anybody else.
Absolutely.
Anybody else. There's not even close. Just like the Patriots, when they ran the conventional quarterback sneak with Tom Brady, were better at it than anybody else. Right? Simple as that. You have to, there's a certain, as you know, I've always been big about it. I always love it. Oh, it's the play calling, it's the scheme. And I'll sit there and go, no, let's how about execution? You execute plays correctly, you can call the same play over and over again, and you execute it well, you're going to gain yards because execution means everything. Now, can you catch them off guard with play calling and so forth? Sure, of course. But remember that Iowa game a couple of years ago at Beaver Stadium where Penn State was running the ball, and Mike Yursich was the offensive coordinator at the time. And James got on the headset with him and said, Mike, remember, the way we're going right now, don't abandon the run. And Penn State controlled the ball for, 43 minutes in the game?
Literally.
And won the game, and they shut
them out. Yep.
Right? Yeah. And you think they kept changing up all the play calls? Not much. Right? So you have a football team in the Eagles that executes the play better than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm not going to take away a team's ability to execute it. Okay? And they weren't perfect on the play last year.
No.
It was stopped a few times. And when they played Washington in the NFC Championship game, that bizarre sequence down by the goal line, that was all Washington. That wasn't Philadelphia.
No.
Right? Trying to jump over,
three or four times.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
I just, you can't help it if you've got the right personnel that executes it well, and you've got a quarterback that is extremely strong. I mean, this is not, with all due respect, your guy Brock Purdy running this play is a completely different type of player than Jalen Hurts, who is just built rock solid.
Completely.
It's just muscle on muscle. And he's got a guy the same kind of build behind him helping push, Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. And you have a heck of a tight end that pushes in Goddard, too. Yeah, you have two guys that, absolutely.
I have no issue with it. I mean, if this play was such an awesome and incredible play, why isn't very few teams run the play well? Except Philadelphia. To their credit, it's coached well, and it's executed really well. All right? And I would have sat there and I would have said, it's football. Just play. I don't care. It's our job to stop it, not to take it out. There are more pressing things I would like to see taken care of in the NFL than a play like that. I'd like to see something more dynamic put in when it comes to the ability to get the ball back after a touchdown, right? Not an onside kick. I'd like to see a play run, right? Put the ball on the 35-yard line. You got to get the ball to the 50 to keep the ball. If you don't, the other team gets the ball wherever the ball's spotted.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'd like to see something like that to me is a dynamic, exciting play that brings with it the possibility of keeping the ball as opposed to an onside kick the way it's done now.
It's
two
beyond ridiculous.
Last year, something like that. Right? I'd rather see something like that changed in the league because I think it's more exciting and dynamic. I'd like to see college football do that. I mean, even though college football has a better rate of it because you got that 5-yard head start.
Yeah.
Right? Now in the NFL, you have to declare whether you're going to take an onside kick. I'd like to see rules like that changed.
I agree. Yeah, 100% agree. There's no the surprise of the onside kick is what made it so much fun. You look in Super Bowl being a prime example. Two of them stick out. One, obviously, the team didn't win was the Steelers, Super Bowl 30, doing that onside kick against Cowboys. Yes. Then obviously Sean Payton starting the half against it. Yeah, that was phenomenal.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. But in each case, you're like, hey, that's great. But the rules were different then.
Yeah.
Right? And each time,
it
was a surprise.
Yeah. And I don't understand why you have to tell. I don't know what difference it makes. Yeah, there's not a risk for injury Well, there's a risk for injury no matter what, but there's not like
Injury in every
exactly.
play. Look,
But it's not
How many? The Eagles have won 2 Super Bowls, okay?
right.
But they've only won 1 with this play being a part of their mix.
Yes.
Okay? And it happened to be the last one.
Yes.
And guess what? Okay? Dick and I watched the game out in California with a couple of friends.
Yeah.
And guess what? They could have not run the play all day, and they still would have run that team out.
They
were
still
just
would have
way better.
Still would have beat the
Now
Chiefs.
they're a little
Yeah.
bit better than Kansas City. They were way better than Kansas City. The play was irrelevant.
You rush 4 guys, don't blitz at all, and you get to the quarterback like they did.
Exactly.
It's very clear that that team was just better. Absolutely. But yeah, with the onside kick, I don't understand why they needed to change the rule. That was one rule that baffled me when I'm looking at it. You have so many things in the NFL, rule-wise, that are questionable, and it's something like that. It made no sense. And here's the other problem with all the rules. Now, officiating in the NFL, and this is not, I am not saying they favor a team whatsoever. Officiating in the NFL as a whole was not good last year. Was that because of so many rules they couldn't keep up? I don't know what it was, but that's something I think that has got to improve beyond a shadow of a doubt as we enter this year.
No doubt. Next part is maturity of athletes today dealing with the media. And I'm going to get to the games in a moment because, again, maturity played a role in last night's
Sure.
games and other games in the playoffs. Minnesota Timberwolves guard Anthony Edwards, who's a terrific player, fined $50,000 for using profane language during a media interview. Like, I know you lost. This is not your first ever media interview.
Right.
Hey? And he was mad that he took only 13, quote, effing shots in defeat. Okay.
Also went back to the locker room for almost a full quarter.
Yeah. He's been fined $430,000 this season. Like, what are we doing here? I realize the money all goes to charity. I got that part. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that's where it goes. But he's been fined $430,000 this season. Draymond Green, how much money has he been fined? Okay? And this isn't the only situation. Let's get to the professional golfers. Colin Morikawa is a bad round. I'm not going to meet with the media. Now, I realize that they're independent contractors. Okay, they're independent contractors. They're part of the PGA Tour, but they're not employed by the PGA Tour.
Right.
Okay. So I realize that there's that distinction, but Rory McIlroy, for example, who put himself out there his entire career, especially he was the de facto PGA spokesman, and when the entire live thing churned up. Okay. But at the PGA Championship, didn't meet with the media after his rounds. People were asked, he was asked for. Nope. Like, come on. Not just, to me, it's part of the job of promoting the sport. And you've got a problem right now with golf because of the split between the two. Now, I realize the PGA Championship has everybody there. Both tours there. So Bryson DeChambeau's there, Brooks Koepka's there, Phil Mickelson's there, and, of course, Jon Rahm's there. And if you notice down the stretch, Scotty Scheffler at one point was tied for the lead with Jon Rahm. Okay? But you have that split. I'm going to get to splits in a moment, a little bit later in this too, about how damaging splits are to sports. Monopolies work, believe it or not. And it's something where like Bryson DeChambeau was praised for coming out and talking to TV, radio, and then the media after defeat. Yeah, look, I know it's hard, right? But you also just made $230,000 for finishing fifth. Right.
Yep.
So I don't get what's going on with the. Okay. Now, can better questions be asked in media settings? No
doubt
question.
about it. Not even
No
a shadow of a
question.
doubt.
Okay, there are certain experienced, been around the block media that are intelligent, ask good questions, and they've garnered respect. There are other members of the media that are a little bit green and haven't garnered as much respect. You have to have a body of work to garner some respect, right? And that's an issue. I'm going to be interested when I go down to the U.S. Open in a few weeks, and just to get a general feel of, look, there's going to be the Jerry Dulacs of the world. If Jerry Dulac asks you a question, you darn well you're going to look up and go, okay, there's a guy that knows what he's talking about, right? And that any question Jerry asks is going to bring with it automatic respect on the answer.
Right.
Just the fact he asked it. He's somebody that the players know, and they know he's somebody that has a body of work that is to be respected. Okay. And you've got a number of guys like that cover the tour that are in there. All right. And we'll see how the rest of it goes. I don't know. We'll see. Now we'll get to the games. How often have you heard me say that one of the issues with the NBA is because they have so many young players in there? And the best players in the league, for the most part, the best players in the league are the older players. Right? Now, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the MVP this year, and justifiably so, had a great year. We just talked about Anthony Edwards. When you are looking at the number of games in the playoffs so far where leads, big leads, have been blown. What a comeback. Well, you know one of the keys to a comeback? One of the keys to the comeback is the immaturity and stupidity of the team in front. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, you come down the court, hey, we're up by 14. Somebody jacks up a three, like, oh, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm. With 17 left on the shot clock. Yep.
If that.
Yeah.
Could be 20 on the shot clock. You're like, what are you doing? Run some offense. Put the team away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But the league is too immature to do that. I didn't watch the end of it last night because I was tired. It was a long trip back from Chicago. It was a 10.5-hour drive. So it's like, okay. So, but I remember watching, it was in the third quarter, Halliburton took one of those shots. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, and Rick Carlisle is just standing on the sideline like, what am I, you just get that look on his face like, oh, God, I hate coaching. But what happens is this. You're in front. Celtics, same thing with the Celtics. I know the Celtics missed Porzingis in the first couple of games. Then, of course, Tatum was out the last 5 quarters against, more than that, I guess. What was he out? 9 quarters?
Yeah, because he missed. Yeah, that's right. It was game 4. He got hurt. Yeah, so it was 9. Yeah.
But even, and he was having a 42-point game. But the Celtics had leads in all these games. Why?
Double-digit leads in the first 2 games.
Right.
20-point lead, I think, the first 2 games.
What? On a night where they're not hitting shots, does anybody, including Mazzullo, the coach, have the fortitude to get into a huddle and say, guys, it's not working tonight. We have to do something different. And that's the defending world champion.
Mm-hmm.
Guys that have won before.
Yep.
And they kept taking one bad shot after another.
Yeah.
On a night where they're not hitting them. What, do you think out of nowhere something's going to happen? You're going to hit 10 in a row? Are you crazy? Right? And the Knicks stuck to their game plan and they beat them. Well, last night the Knicks got happy on the farm. There's, 2.5 minutes to go? They're up by 14 points?
Yeah, 14, 13 points, yep.
Right, 2.5 minutes ago? You're going.
Under a minute, they're up 9.
Yeah, got it made. Your job is to, put them away.
Yeah.
You're in the playoffs now. This is not a loss in February. This is not a loss in December. Right? Where now you sit there and then, because you're not mature enough, and it's not a mature league.
Right.
It's not a mature league. I've said that over and over again for years. Right? Because it's not a mature league, then all of a sudden, guess what happens? You start playing because you feel like you have something to lose. Oh, okay. Same thing happened with Dallas and Edmonton last night. 5 goals in the third period? Power plays? They had 3 power play goals in a 5.5 minute span? I mean, look. I mean, let's give credit where credit's due. I mean, Josh Hart, Brunson, they sat down with the media last night when it was over. I mean, they did do that.
Right.
But the bottom line is, Indiana finally warmed down and won. I mean, it's one thing. Indiana's the deeper team.
No doubt about it.
The deeper team, and when you play with pace, you can wear a team down. And the Pacers play with tremendous pace.
Yes.
I mean, they are go, 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 and then they play a lot of people.
Yeah. And that showed in overtime. Obviously, the Knicks are a possession away from going up 6, and yes, they missed the goaltend, no question. Officiating was not good either way. No. But I think,
I mean, there was a when Brunson got his 5th foul.
Yeah.
Nemeth went down and took a shot, and he clearly got fouled. There was no call. They went to the other end. Karl Anthony Towns got fouled, and so you'll be 3. It's like going, what are you doing there? It's the same play.
Same play.
Right?
Yep. But clearly when Brunson, I think Brunson hits that runner to give the Knicks the lead. I think the clear indication the Knicks are worn out. Very next possession, Pacers go backdoor. Josh Hart just gets beat completely to the bucket. And it's Pacers obviously take the lead. They never look back after that. And but just again, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of things, and it's not only the maturity of the league. I think a lot of it goes back to fundamentals in so many ways.
Yeah.
Being able to inbound the ball.
Yep.
Under a minute to go.
Yep. Something simple.
Simple. Being able to hit your free throws.
Simple.
With 15, 20 seconds left.
Okay, guess what? Joe Crispin said it to me once.
Yeah.
He said it to me 50 times. Steve, he says, free throws are free points.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right? And that's how you have to
The Knicks missed a couple. The Knicks missed a couple down the stretch. Anunoby missed a big one. Obviously, that left the door open for the Pacers to come down and, would have had the chance to tie anyway. It would have been a 3-point lead if he hits it. But either way, I think they're very clearly, we've seen this in the playoffs. And I think when you look at the Knicks as a whole, the last 2 years in the playoffs, we've seen this. They had a 9-10 point lead on the Sixers in a closeout game and let Tyrese Maxey hit 3 threes and send it to overtime last year. So there's no question. They have issues closing games out. It's very clear as day.
That's a maturity thing.
That's sure it is.
I mean,
sure
that's
it is.
a maturity thing. It's like we've got it made. Well, no, you don't have it made.
No.
Right? And guess what? You've got to be the one that plays harder and smarter.
Yeah. Second part being being big.
You know, and that's not. It's not what they do. It's to the point where. And it's not just the end of games. This is, again, now this goes to the maturity of the fans. Okay? and the maturity of the media at times that cover them. Over and over and over again, everybody talks about the end of the game. No, there's a big wide world out there. Okay? Stupid plays made in the second and third quarters lead to the fact, oh, how did we get to the point? If you'd been smarter in the second and third quarter when things were going well for you, you probably aren't in the position to lose the game. It's a big, wide world out there. I can point to a whole bunch of plays where I sit back and go, what the heck are they taking that shot for? I'm watching the game like, why are they taking the shot? And I'm saying that in the second quarter. Okay? Okay? You can concentrate on the end all you want. Okay? The other 43 minutes, the other 45 minutes set up the end.
Sure.
If you've been smarter about playing the entire game, you would not be in the position to lose the game with the dramatic part that everybody's talking about.
Yeah. No doubt about it. And it's you look really at what the series has been with the Knicks and Pacers. The history has shown the same thing in a lot of ways. The team that is obviously the team that played smarter ultimately won the series. I think when you look back, even in the 90s, the Knicks were the more mature team. First go around, beat them in 7 games. Second go around, a more mature Pacers team learned. Yep. Reggie Miller obviously carries them, and they win on the Garden floor in Game 7,
right,
to go to the conference finals. And same things. You go back to 99 and 2000. What do you learn from defeat? 1999, strike short in the year. Yes, I get it. Knicks, 8th seed, go to the finals. First 8th seed to go to the finals. Yeah. 2000 rolls around. They beat the Pacers to get there. 2000 rolls around. What did the Pacers learn from it? Took it onto the floor and beat the Knicks.
Yeah.
And that's you see this year in and year out from good teams.
Yeah. And I know they want to. Are these the best athletes to have ever played basketball? Yes.
I think so. Absolutely.
Yes. Is it? Are you? But are we seeing smart play? And I don't. I don't see, for the most part, smart play. There's certain things the NBA does that is much better, for example, than the college game. Their ability to do 2-for-1s. Now that's crept into the college game. Their ability to identify matchups, right, that are advantageous, where you just sit back and go, that guy can't guard him. The NBA is really good at that. College basketball is not as good as that. It just isn't. And that's something it's always confused me. Wait, that guy can't guard him. I don't care. Give him the ball every time. Let's not. He can't guard him. He can't guard you.
Right.
Even though you got a pretty good left hand. But, but pro basketball does a better job, and college basketball's picked up on it, of 2-for-1s,
right,
for the most part. Yeah. For the most part. But college basketball does not do a good job, in my opinion, of identifying matchups on the floor. And need to do a better job identifying matchups where you go like, that sucker can't guard. Because it's college. I mean, you're gonna have a couple of matchups where you sit back and go, whoa, that guy can't guard him. But the NBA is the best athletes I've seen, and unfortunately, it's not at the moment the most intelligent game I'm watching.
Right. And
I've seen the games played at a far more intelligent, smarter level.
Right.
In other years compared to what we see now, and that's brought out by what we're seeing on the floor.
Right.
And that's why I'm talking about the maturity of a league, and I think it's played a role over and over again in all these big comebacks that we've seen. Because, right, and I don't understand you're playing for the whole thing.
Yes.
You're playing for the whole thing.
Right.
You can't let a possession get away.
Yeah.
Ever.
And
Okay? Because you're playing for the whole thing now.
yeah.
Okay? You've got to win 8 more games and you get a ring.
Yeah.
And the Knicks woke up this morning and they still have to win 8 more games
Yep.
to get a ring.
Well,
Okay? And that's their fault. I mean, we can sit there and praise what Indiana did. I give them credit. They got some guts. They came back, right? They hit some shots. But this is, every once in a while, I see a team, they lose.
yeah.
And,
And a big part of that, too, and you can't completely excuse him. Some of it falls on Thibodeau. I don't think there's any question about that, because you look back on, I get annoyed when people immediately anoint somebody an all-time great. It drives you nuts. It's clickbait. It's, we got another hot take, because
everybody wants to label everybody an all-time great all the time. Jeez.
All the time.
How about we do that when
the career's over, or at least darn close to over? You want to start labeling.
In other words, Kobe Bryant at the end, we all knew he was one of the best.
We absolutely.
He had a body of work.
Absolutely. Guys are retired in 2 years. They're going to be. Their body of work is about over. Certainly.
Yeah.
But you know what separates those all-time greats? How they close games. How they coexist. Sometimes they needed a coach to do it. I would argue the 1992 Dream Team, as great as it was, Chuck Daly made them better. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, yeah.
Phil Jackson certainly made the Lakers better than Kurt Rambis did. But when you look back on it, Kobe Bryant and Shaq, though they didn't like each other, very clear as day, they knew what it took to win championships together.
Yeah, that's right.
And won 4 of them, and probably should have won won 3 of them, and probably should have won a lot more. No doubt about it. Won 3 of them. Obviously, Kobe wins 2 more without him. Shaq 1 more without him. But could have probably won 6 or 7. There's no doubt. That team was that good. Bulls, the same thing. Celtics, same thing. Celtics and Lakers don't kill each other. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson have more rings.
Right.
It's those things that separate greatness, is when you're consistently there and the emotions consistently pour out.
Yeah.
You don't see that anymore. I wouldn't say anymore entirely, but it's not often that you see it. And that's where you want greatness, you want, legacy or whatever you want to call it. Look at that right there.
Yeah.
And see how you close.
Yeah. And then there's your team.
Depends on which one.
49ers. Your team. Yeah. Well, enough said about them.
Fourth quarter, they forget to show up.
Oh. Yeah. Well, okay. I'm sure that there's another part that enters into this too, and that's the gambling aspect enters into this as the maturity of some of the fans.
From a fan perspective, sure.
Yeah. And this is some. Most fans are great.
Absolutely.
Most fans are absolutely great. I mean, I'm talking about great. I can't say enough great things about fans. The ones that want to pay to go to games, you got that small fraction of them that just, you sit there and go, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Why are you acting that way? Boy.
And it's not, and granted, it's long-time fans let their emotions get the best of them too. Yes, exactly.
Fraction.
But I think that smaller portion is more so, again, not always the case with every fan base. The Johnny-come-latelys are usually that portion. I think when you look at the fans that have been around the team for many years, they've seen the good, they've seen the bad, they act as if they've seen both. I think very clearly. And its prime example is the Penn State football fans. I think they are incredible fans, longtime season ticket holders. Yep. There are some students whose parents obviously raised them to be Penn State born proud and absolutely doing an exceptional job. And then every fan base has them. There is that small amount. Absolutely. And the key emphasis is every fan base has them. I know Philadelphia fans get a terrible rap. I know Raiders fans get a terrible rap. Every fan base has that small portion. Do some magnify it more than others with their actions? Absolutely. Every fan base has that portion. 100%.
You sure?
100% sure. Yep. There's even Green Bay Packers fans that have that portion. Green Bay, to me, as much as I love the Philadelphia fans' passion, Steelers fans' passion, I don't think there's a more passionate fan base in the NFL than the Green Bay Packers. I don't think there's ever been, and that fan base even has that small portion too.
You ever hear the Valvano story about he saw a video of Vince Lombardi says, God, family, and the Green Bay Packers. He thought, that is great. So he goes over and he's Tim's with Rutgers. He says, I'm going to give that speech. He gets up in front of the Rutgers basketball team and he says, 3 things, the most important things to you. Your God.
Mm-hmm.
Says, yeah.
Yeah.
Your family.
Yeah.
And the Green Bay Packers. They all look at him like, what? What? Yeah, sure. Oh, my goodness. Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, you get stuff like that. Like, oh well. But it's something that you can't control the maturity of people. But for like I said,
you can teach it.
You can.
Yeah.
But now you've got people like, I'm not going to go in there and talk to people.
Exactly.
Right. I'm not going to do that. So NBC Universal, by the way, is going to make a bid for ESPN's Monday Night Baseball package, including Sunday Night Baseball. And let's see, I wonder if that means Peacock. Or is it going to be on NBC? It says here, they want Sunday Night Baseball. They also want the rights to the Home Run Derby in the first round of the Major League Baseball postseason. NBC's offer lower than what ESPN currently pays because it would not be seeking international and radio rights to the highlight clips because they don't care about the highlight clips. They don't have a sports center.
No.
I mean, what do they care?
That is something they can entertain the thought of putting on Peacock as a highlight show.
Maybe.
I think that is something for certainly.
And they would put it on NBC, adding Sunday Night Baseball and other games to NBC and Peacock would ensure they have a major sporting event happening at every Sunday of the year. That's one of the reasons what they want to do this, because they already have, they're going to get the NBA on Sunday night. And of course, they have Sunday Night Football.
Yep.
And again, they could care less about the highlights. What do they care about the highlights? They don't have a sports center show, so it doesn't matter. They don't need the highlights. The ESPN, which pays, they pay a huge number, by the way, for the NFL highlights. When you see how much they are paying for Monday Night Football, the number is not just for the games.
That's right.
Okay? The number is not just for the games.
Yeah. Not only highlights, too. You're going to have Aikman and Buck on with Van Pelt.
No, but I'm saying they don't pay for Aikman and Buck to be on.
Well, no, but they still, that's part of the package. It's part of the agreement.
Right. They're paying, though, for the highlight packages that they use on Sports Center,
sure,
NFL Live, right? The pregame shows, everything, even that the segments that Chris Berman does, things like that. That's why they're paying for it. That's why when you see the number big, that's one of the reasons. So Jim Irsay died, the owner of the Colts. Rather sudden.
Absolutely.
It sounds like his daughter is going to be the one that will get the ownership of the team. So, okay. Very interesting.
Yeah.
But it was one of those like, oh, really?
Yeah, and that's, he's had health issues. He certainly has in the past, but yeah, it was very sudden. There's no doubt.
Yeah, very surprised. Then, of course, your owner telling another owner to shut up. I mean, it's like what are we doing here? It's like, hey, again, why don't you win a playoff game?
Super Bowl being the preferred playoff game.
Yeah, you got to win some games to get there. Jeez, come on.
Won a few to get there.
Yeah. Little play calling issue.
Just a couple.
Oh, brutal.
Play calling, not knowing the rules.
Well. Yeah. And again, these are your people.
That's right.
These are your people, That was good. Very concerning. Penn State baseball beat Washington yesterday, 5-3. Did you see Mike Gambino's speech yesterday, where he's talking about all the Final Fours Penn State's in, and that each one along the way had that crisis moment?
Mm-hmm.
Hockey had its crisis moment.
Sure.
Lost 9 in a row
at
one point?
Yeah.
Overcame it, got to the Frozen Four. Even volleyball had a couple. I'm trying to think what the crisis moment was for wrestling. But football.
Yeah.
I mean, after the Ohio State game, I was like, oh,
absolutely.
It's like, okay, and that's where at least being around the block a few times can at least give you some perspective about what to say in a situation like that. And that's why I remember exactly what I said in the postgame show. I said, I know a lot of people are, because the game went down to the end, so people stayed. Well, now you got people in their cars leaving. They, I'm sure a portion of them have the broadcast on.
Sure.
And because they're waiting for you and Kyle to come on and complain.
That's right.
And I said, look, it's a different system now. And when I've got a legend sitting next to me, and Jack Ham, I said, you ended up with 4 Super Bowl rings in your career. How many years were the Steelers undefeated? He said, none. I said, that's right. I said, look, Penn State's in a 4-game playoff to make the playoff.
Sure.
Right? I said, they win the next 4 games. I said, they're in the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know everybody's massively disappointed they didn't beat Ohio State because I don't care. That team believed the next day, and I think still believes to this day, that they're better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They want another shot, absolutely.
Right. They wanted another shot at them. Now, Ohio State, terrific team.
Yeah.
I mean, they won the national championship, and they earned it. But last I checked, they lost twice in the regular season.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. They lost twice. They lost at Oregon, and they lost to Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So that was the national champion. They weren't perfect.
No. No. And
they played 16 games, and they were 14-2. Right?
Yeah.
And but it goes back to what we're talking about, that people overreact in the moment.
Sure.
And
I think something else is winning is taken for granted in a lot of ways, without question, because you know what is
I have a
equally
lot of trouble with this.
sure. Yeah, beating Ohio State is hard. I mean, that's a given. There's no question about it. You know what else is hard? Winning every game you're supposed to win.
Yeah,
Because a lot of teams don't do that.
it's really hard.
Yeah, that's the other part of it. And that is something that
Really
Penn State has done very well that James Franklin doesn't get the credit for. And I think when you look back on it, yes, that 2021 loss to Illinois was not a good loss. No doubt about it. Right. But after that, I can't name another game that they've lost that they were supposed to win.
I remember years ago, and I've done this show in various iterations over time. And I said, something you have to give Joe Paterno credit for in a long career is he rarely lost a game where they were the favorite. Rarely. I could care less about the covering. Who cares? I mean, that's why they call it gambling.
That's why, money.
Yeah, I don't care. It's up to you.
Yep.
Right? But they rarely lost a game where they were the favorite. They lost a game to Rutgers when Dick Anderson was the head coach, right? And Young, who ended up having a long Major League Baseball career, was the wide receiver on that team. Good player, right?
Yep.
And Rutgers came in, and to Dick's credit, Dick and his staff did a great job, and they won. The Cincinnati game in '83, maybe the Navy game in the driving rain, that 7-6 game in 74 maybe, right? But it's rare.
Right.
In a 46-year career that you're talking about, on one hand, the number of games that Joe lost, that everybody thought they should have won. Hey, James is the same way. 12 years now. 11 years so far coaching, going into his 12th year. Which games has he lost that he was supposed to win?
Right.
The Illinois game is definitely one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But Sean was also playing hurt.
Mm-hmm. The Michigan State game, guy makes a great play.
Right.
And obviously the Michigan State game in East Lansing, forget about it. You can't script that in a lifetime.
No.
But, the game at home, the Michigan State game at home, Felton Davis just makes a great catch.
Yeah. And this is after Penn State thought, I think, they dropped an interception, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
Same thing happened at Northwestern, too, where, of all people, Grant Haley dropped it. Okay. But all the other games he's coached, he's won 99% of the games he was supposed to win.
Absolutely.
The complaint is what is perceived as the 50-50 games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. No, last I checked, they made the semifinals last year.
Mm-hmm.
So they won two of those 50-50 games.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
And that is
and December 31st.
Yeah. And that's the advantage you now have as well with that 12-team playoff. You lose a game, you win the games you're supposed to win, you're going to be there.
Yeah. But Mike talked to his group yesterday about, look, all the close, all the moments of crisis along the way. He said they've overcome all that. I mean, you look at men's lacrosse. I want to talk about, they scored 8 unanswered goals the other day to beat Notre Dame. 8 against a team whose MO is that they avalanche you with goals. That once Notre Dame gets rolling, they avalanche you with goals, and Penn State did it to them back in the Final Four. And you got Syracuse, Maryland. Syracuse is the favorite. Maryland beat Syracuse during the regular season. Penn State, Cornell. Cornell's the number 1 overall seed. They're the favorite. Penn State beat them in overtime in Ithaca earlier in the season. It's going to be up at Gillette Stadium, the home of the Patriots. I mean, there's no way they're going to play at Levi's Stadium. Everybody says it's a hole.
That's right.
Where's that? Whose home stadium is that?
Their Santa Clara soccer team plays there.
Oh, okay, good.
Maybe.
It's what's interesting about it is I think men's lacrosse is a great sport. And by the way, the NCAA is doing something I really like. The women's lacrosse Final Four is also taking place at Gillette.
Nice.
And they're going to play their semifinals on Friday, tomorrow. The men will play their semifinals on Saturday. The women will play their championship matchup on Sunday. The men will play their championship matchup on Monday. It brings the entire lacrosse community together. Now, women's lacrosse, okay, men's lacrosse, the problem is that it's a great sport. And, boy, you look at high schools where they're playing it left and right now. A lot of people have it.
Mm-hmm.
But what is the ability to expand the sport? And to me, it's slim. Why? Because the money issues that are going to be facing every athletic department is going to keep them from expanding sports. And in fact, I think you're going to see a trend where you're going to see some sports go to a club level because there's going to be a lot of athletic departments that can't afford to do it. And with all the pending lawsuits coming up, right?
Well,
and there will
I agree.
There will be. It's an interesting time. What's interesting to me is she still hasn't approved the thing yet. There are a lot of people that are kicking into gear starting July 1. Well, July 1 is 5 weeks away. Or 6 weeks? I guess it's 6 weeks away. 6 weeks away. Big, terrific sweatshirt. Is it the only thing that was clean, or?
Yeah, it was one of them.
But you see what I'm saying? The overall
Absolutely.
thing I talked about with the maturity of it.
Sure.
I mean, there are times where I feel like there's some college players who are more disciplined and get. I can always tell when I'm doing a game. Let's talk basketball for a moment. Where the team in front gets happy on the farm.
Yeah.
And you'll sit there and go, oh, geez.
You could also tell.
Shots now.
Yeah.
Nope.
You tell the team that's been there before a lot of times, too. Team that's been there before against a team that's not.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we talked about the swearing in the postgame. We did that. We talked about the immaturity of that. That brings us back to this show and some of the issues you're having. It's like dealing with a wild man. Well, they wanted me to speak down in Johnstown. Okay. So I have said nothing to them about, hey, I'll get back to you, whatever. Okay. So then yesterday, they asked about if I would participate. I don't know, I think I'm just going to, in the Pittsburgh NIL event, which is at Fox Chapel.
Sure.
I was going to go down and cover the U.S. Open anyway, just a practice round. I'm not going to, I'm not going to go back and forth and cover the tournament. Practice rounds where you can get the interviews, okay, and set up the entire tournament. I've always enjoyed doing that. I've done that at several U.S. Opens now. And so I was planning, and I've got a pass for the entire week, so I can pick whatever time I want to go. If I want to go all six days to it, 7 days, if I want to go all 7 days, Monday through Sunday, I can do it if I want. Right? It's no big deal. But I figured, hey, I'll go down once. And Ron Moeller, by the way, is introducing everybody at the 10th tee. So needless to say, when the show is over, somebody is going to get heckled. Right. So I was like, well, that's on a Wednesday. Well, I can shift easily from Tuesday to Wednesday. What's the difference? There's no difference, right? So then the Johnstown guys said, you know what? How about if I go down to Johnstown Tuesday and then just keep on going?
There you go.
Down Wednesday and take care of it. Just don't go to Johnstown and drive back. Go to Johnstown and keep on going. Yeah. This is what your people would do.
That's right. Negotiations are key. That's right.
Yeah, I thought, what would Jason do? What was
That's
the
right.
easy, lazy way out?
You're darn right.
Great sweatshirt.